Hello everyone. Today we'll be looking into sentence order, and this is in the learning material which is given in the description box, page number 12, 13, 14, 15. And I'll be mostly concentrating on page numbers 12 and 13 for this class. Since this part is quite long, we'll be dividing it into two parts. So first, we'll look the different types of sentence orders that are usually used in Korean. So we have four types here, that is subject plus noun. Noun is also called as 명사, that's what I have written here. Then subject plus verb. Verb is also called as 동사 in Korean, that's what is written here. And subject plus adjective, which is also called as 형용사. Then we have subject plus object plus verb. So we'll be seeing the examples of all these different types of sentences. Before that, we'll be looking into some points that we have to know about sentences in Korean. So the tense of a sentence, which is very important in whichever language you're using, is in Korean, it is determined by the last word of the sentence. And usually the last part of the sentence is a noun, verb, adjective. A noun, verb, or adjective. That's how it goes. So it is the tense of these words that determine the tense of a sentence. And in Korean, verbs and adjectives kind of function in similar manners, and verbs and adjectives are the ones which determine the tense of a sentence. And when I say that adjectives and verbs function similar, it also means that it is kind of similar to English. I'll be giving you examples. Like verbs function the same way in English and Korean, like literally the same way. Suppose you have go. Go in English becomes went, but then in Korean it becomes gada, 갔다. If it was do, it would be hada, 했다. Like that, in the pronunciation itself, you can see ta coming at the end of the pronunciation. 가다, 갔다, 하다, 했다. Like that, go becomes went by the word itself changing. But then adjectives does not function in Korean like it does in English. In English, like suppose we are taking good. Good becomes was good. So we are adding something to good to make it from present to past. But then in Korean, what happens is that, like for good, we say 좋다. 좋다 is the present here. Present or 현재 시제. 현재 means present, 시제 means tense. So 현재 시제 is present and 과거 시제 is past. I'll be telling you in detail about the tense and things once we get into the different chapters, each for nouns and each for verbs and adjectives. I'll be telling you that. Now let's concentrate here. Anyways, 좋다. 좋다 is present, and we change the word itself to make it past rather than adding something to it. So 좋다 becomes 좋았다. 좋다 becomes 좋았다. And this conversion of a verb or adjective from one tense to another is called conjugation. And we'll be seeing this conjugation here and there a lot because all the rules we study is called conjugation rules because it is a conversion from one form to another. And in the sentence order, we learned subject plus noun, subject plus verb, subject plus adjective, subject plus object plus verb, all these forms are there, but in between these, you can also find particles, which are like grammar words in English. And those particles, like the ones we would find in English, is, was, are, were. We have a lot of particles like that in English, right? So similar to those particles, we also have particles in Korean, and they are called subject particles and object particles. So subject particle is divided into two. We have topic particle and identifier particle. So topic particles are 는, 은. Identifier particles are ga, i. Object particles are r, 을. Then we also have plural particle called dhr. And another one, that is our last particle, is time and place particle. Time and place particle is a and eso. We'll also have lessons separately for all of this. So I'm now going into the details of that. Now we'll be looking into the examples of the sentence forms that we learned up until now. The first one is subject plus noun. So the sentences examples, we have 4 examples here. The first one is 나는 학생이다. Na means I. 는 means, you can think it like am. 나는, I am 학생이다. I am student. So like, since we don't have the plural particle here, it is pretty visible that it is a single thing. It is not a plural. So that way you can understand, like, you may ask, where did the go? I am a student. So where did this go? So in Korean, we don't have anything to express like that. It's just that if there is there, that is a that is a plural particle that I told you, there. If there is there, it is plural. If there is not there, it's singular. That's how you understand it. So 나는 학생이다. I am a student. 학생 means student. 리사는 선생님이다. Lisa is a name here, and once again, you can think of 는 as is here. So 리사는 선생님이다. 선생 means teacher, but then you can also use the term 선생님 as a term of respect. To call someone that you don't know, you could call them 선생님. Anyways, 선생 means teacher. 님 is like, you would add something like respect. Suppose someone's name is Hyung, then you would add 님 there, like you call someone sir. It's something like that. It's not exactly like that, but then it's similar. So Hyung Nim, you could call them Hyung Nim because you're not close to them. You have a professional relationship with them. So, but then you need to call them something. So you would call them either Hyung Shi or Hyung Nim. You would call them like that. So Nim is respect, giving respect like that. So Nim here means teacher. So 리사는 선생님이다. Andrew는, so Andrew is 의사였다. So 였다. Until now we were having ida. Now it is 였다. So ta is coming here. Double s. So 상시읒 받침 is coming as 받침 here. When 상시읒 comes as 받침 in the second last syllable like this, it usually means that it's past tense. And know that da coming here last is a written form usually. So because we don't really express that da when we are speaking. So we would usually say the da as the words coming with da as the plain form or dictionary form. This plain form or dictionary form is what we modify and use in different tenses, or we use with different prefixes and suffixes, or include it in our sentences and make it into what we can use. Next is 저는 중학생이에요. So yo is coming last. From that itself you can understand that it is 존댓말. 존댓말 means 말 means speech. 존댓말 means formal speech. 반말 means informal speech. So 저는 중학생이에요. 중학생. First, I'll be telling you about the different forms of how to say school. So we have elementary school, middle school, and high school. So 초등학교 means elementary school. So 초등학생 means elementary school student. Next one is 중학교 or 중학생. So 중학교 means middle school, 중학생 means middle school student. 고등학교 means high school. So 고등학생 will be high school student. Usually 초 means first or something elementary or something like that. So 초등 means first level. You wouldn't say that for a building. You wouldn't use this this for leveling in case of a building or something like that. But in things like that, like the first level of a task, when we are talking about things like that, you would use 초 or 초등. 중 means middle. 중 is used as a prefix to denote middle in a lot of words, and you'll be seeing that as we go forward in our lesson. 고등 is not used much. You just have a word called 고등어, and that is kind of a fish. So I'll not be going into that. So 초등학교, 중학교, 고등학교. You would hear this a lot, so I would recommend that you remember these levels of division in schooling. So we finished with the examples of subject plus noun. Now I'll be going into subject plus verb. So we have all the same subjects here, that is Juyong. Juyong is the name of a Korean male. So 주영은 달린다. If you look here, you have nian coming as 받침 here. So when you usually have nian as 받침 in a verb, you can assume that it is present continuous. 마시다 means drink. 마신다 is drinks. Like that. 달리다 means run. So 달린다 becomes runs. 하다 means do. That 하다 becomes 한다 means does. So like that, the S form of verb, you can say that when nian comes. So 주영은 달린다, 주영 runs. It is written here, it is a written form. It is a written form, yes, but you can also see that this form where nian comes is also used in speaking. And usually, if you are a foreigner speaking Korean, a lot of times most of your mistakes are like people just close their eyes to that. I mean, Korean natives would close their eyes to that because they would understand that you are a native and you're not a native, you're a foreign person and you're still learning the language, so you might make a lot of mistakes, and that's a given, so it's okay, at least they're trying. They would think like that with a kind heart, but then they would also, some may tell you that it's wrong or something like that, but most people don't because they are too, too kind or mannerful, you can say that. So they wouldn't correct your mistakes, but it's better that you understand that 주영은 달린다. If you say that, it sounds a bit stiff. You could write it like that, but if you say it like that, it sounds a bit stiff. Instead of that, 주영은 달리고 있어. 아니면 주영은 달려요. Like our next sentence is 주영은 달려요. 아니면, otherwise you could just say 주영은 달려. 달려 means 반말. If yo is coming at the last, okay, it is 존댓말. If yo is not coming, it is 반말. 주영은 달려 means 반말. It is written here. 달려, it is spoken form, 반말. And 주영은 달려요 would be spoken form, but it would be polite spoken form. That is 존댓말. and that is the second level of respect. If it is the most uppermost level of respect, you would say 주영은 달리고 있습니다. Like 입니다 would come at the last. Yo is the secondary level of respect. The primary and uppermost level of respect that you would only use with very very senior, very old people than you. Only in that case you would use immida. But then in a lot of cases you can also see that these two levels of respect are used often interchangeably with each other, or they are often mixed up, and that is not wrong. It is correct to use them mixed up, or it is correct to use one instead of other. Very rarely would it be considered wrong, and in that case they would probably approach you and tell you that you could talk to me informally, it's alright, we are at a similar age, or you're older than me, or you're in a much higher position than me, or something like that, depending on whatever the situation is. That if they tell that, okay, if it is a probable appropriate situation for you, then okay, you could lower your level of respect. It would be perfectly all right. But there are a lot of times when many people refuse just because they are so used to using respectful connotations, and that's also all right. Next one is 주영은 힘차게 달린다. 힘차게. So we have an adverb preceding a verb here. So 힘차게 means vigorously. So adverb is 부사. You would say an adverb as 부사. So 주영은 힘차게 달린다. So 주영 is running vigorously. Or 주영 is vigorously running. In anything, both are correct. 달린다 would be runs here, because is running, if you're saying is running, if ing comes there in English, it would be 달리고 있다. So here 주영은 힘차게 달린다. 주영 vigorously runs. You could say that. That means that you are talking about 주영 in third person, but 주영 may be sitting somewhere hearing that conversation, and you would be talking while looking at him or the others present in that conversation. It's alright. But Jiyong wouldn't be running that time. You wouldn't see Jiyong running in front of you. You wouldn't say that. You may be just talking about an upcoming sports meet or something, and you would be selecting the candidates from your team for the running race. And you could say that Jiyong은 힘차게, 아니면 Jiyong 빨리 달린다. You could say that. So Jiyong runs fast. So that means you are initiating a conversation to select Jiyong as the candidate for the running race. But then you are in the sports meet and you are seeing Jiyong run, and you could say that Jiyong은 힘차게 달리고 있어요. I mean, 주영은 힘차게 달리고 있다. You wouldn't say that 달리고 있다 in a conversation, because 있다, as I said, it would sound a bit stiff. So you could say 주영은 힘차게 달리고 있어요. I mean, or you could say 주영은 힘차게 달리고 있습니다. You could say it like that. So that's how the levels of respect, and you have also seen the examples for subject plus noun and subject plus verb. Now we have subject plus adjective and subject plus object plus verb left, and we will be looking at those two types of sentences in the next class. If you have any doubt, you can put it in the comment box. I'll be also attaching the learning material in the description box below. So let's see in the next class.